Hello my little sugar boogers, welcome back to the channel. So today I am going to show you guys how to make these super duper cute glitter plum bob earrings. Let's begin. The first thing you're going to need to kick off this DIY project is some green oven baked clay. I am using a clay by Sculpty. I will link everything and where you can find it in the description down below. So if you don't know where you could get this, have no fear. Before you actually start handling the clay that you're going to be using for your project, make sure that you wash your hands thoroughly and then grab a piece of scrap clay that you're not going to be using for your project, and just rub it between your hands to get rid of any specks, dirt, or lint and residue. So taking your clay out of the package, you are going to use 1/4 of the clay, I guess you could say. I used one already, but go ahead and take a flat edge razor and also a proper working surface and just cut straight down. Now, if you don't have the razor or the surface that I'm using, this is actually a part of a kit that I got from a craft store, and it's going to have all of the essentials that you're going to need to cut your clay, in the beginning anyways. Next, we're going to go ahead and take off just about 1/3 of that piece of clay there. It's going to range depending on how big and how thick you decide to make your plum bob. And then start rubbing the clay in between your palms, forming it into a nice little ball. Be careful not to overwork the clay because it's going to make it really hard to work with. And this piece here should be just enough to make yourself 2 small plum bob earrings using the kind of like cookie cutter shape that I will be using. One of my biggest tips for you guys is covering all your utensils or anything that's going to come in contact with that clay in cornstarch just to prevent any sticking. To create the diamond shape, you can use 2 methods. You can free cut it using your razor, or you could go ahead and do what I did, the lazy way, and pick up these little tiny diamond shaped cutters I got at the craft store. They come in a big pack full of different sizes and shapes that you could use for future projects. Taking my handy dandy rolling pin and also using this little cutting board and razor and all that jazz that came in the same pack, we're going to go ahead and put the ball on top of the cutting board that's covered in cornstarch, and we're going to go ahead and flatten it out. Just be gentle. You don't want to cause any tears or any bumps or any lumps, and you're going to go ahead and flatten out this bad boy until you get the desired thickness that you want. This thickness is going to determine how thick or how thin your earrings are and how they sit on your ovejas. I personally don't want to make them too chunky, but I also don't want to make them too thin to where they're going to break. You'll see how thick I make them in the end. After that, after you get it all flat and stuff, you're going to go ahead and put your diamond cutter on top of the most even portion of the clay and push down. Remember, you can free ball this if you want, but if you're a beginner like myself, I totally suggest just investing in these cookie cutters. Or clay cutters. As an extra precaution, call me crazy, I like to go ahead and remove all the extra clay from around the cutter so that when I'm actually lifting it up from the cutting board, nothing is trying to like cling on to it for dear life. Alright, so let's go ahead and remove the little clay cutter, and voila, your pretty little plum bob. So you're going to set your plum bobs on this little thingy-majigger. It's actually all a part of this set I've been talking about. This ensures a nice, even baking experience for your plum bobs. So we're going to take our razor, and we're going to just kind of rub it on this cornstarch a little bit, and pick off any of the nasty little clay bits and all that jazz. And we are going to very, very carefully, not to stress you out, but you can mess up your whole entire shindig. We are going to try to like shimmy this little plum bob off of the cutting board. Now, with the cornstarch, it should be a breeze. I've tried this numerous times without the cornstarch, and trust me, it sticks and it just turns into gum. And this is what it looks like, and hopefully you can get an eye there for how thick it is. That's a pretty good rule of reference. And now they are ready to bake. So now I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to about 275 degrees Fahrenheit. Your baking instructions should be on your clay package somewhere. So if you're using a different clay than I'm using, you should be able to see how long and what temp you should cook yours at. So we're gonna go ahead and stick these bad boys, leaving them on top of this like baking square. I'm gonna put these on a big non-stick cookie sheet and let them sit for about 15 minutes. Once they're finished baking, you're going to want to let them sit for about 5 minutes or so to cool down because they will be very hot to the touch. And just because I do want to make them as perfect as possible, I'm actually going to be taking a nail file and just filing all the edges, filing the top, the underneath side, just to make them smooth and in shape. Snagging a little acetone nail polish remover and a Q-tip, we are going to go ahead and just very lightly brush the acetone onto the PLUMBOBs just to remove any dust residue. In order to turn these PLUMBOBs from charms to earrings, you're going to need yourself some glue. I got this from the craft store. It is specifically to add on some jewelry fixins, and you're going to need these flat back post earring thingamajiggers. I will actually have the legit name in the description, and you're going to go ahead and place a little dot of this glue in the very center of the back of your PLUMBOBs. Just make sure they're nice and smooth. And you are going to place the fixing right on top of it and give it a nice firm press. Give your glue about 5 to maybe even 10 minutes to dry, and you can actually put your earrings on an old earring card for a little extra stability when we go and add on the glitter. Before we apply the glitter, I want to make my entire PLUMBOB look glossy, so I'm actually just taking some SC Gel Setter Clear nail polish and applying it to the entire surface of the PLUMBOB. The glitter I'm using today is something literally from the kids section of the craft store, and it's this bright, vibrant green glitter. Taking some of that glitter, I'm just actually going to dump this on a plate to make it easier to work with. And then I'm going to pick up some of my clear nail polish, and I'm actually going to work in small sections by adding just a little layer at a time. And using my fingers, I'm actually going to dip into some of that glitter and press the glitter into the wet, clear nail polish. And again, you're going to want to do this in sections because the clear nail polish will dry fairly quickly. And if there's any bald spots or anything, just add a little bit of clear nail polish and just dip back into the glitter and fill in those spots. I personally like to cover the entire PLUMBOB in glitter, but of course it's all up to you and your preference. Once you do both of the earrings, this is what you should end up with. Give your little blobs about 20 minutes to fully dry and snag yourself some Modge Podge Dimensional Magic for some super duper insane gloss, or you can just continue to add on the layers of nail polish, but I personally do not want it to flake off, and I feel like this gives it a more professional finish. What you're going to do is also take a synthetic brush like so. I found this at the craft store, super duper cheap. Put a little bit of this Modge Podge on a plate, and you are going to gently pack this on in a thin layer all over your PLUMBOBs. It's going to kind of have this bluish consistency, but when it dries, it's going to dry to a beautiful, gorgeous finish. I personally would do about 2 to 3 coats of this Modge Podge, giving about half an hour of drying time in between. Let these bad boys sit for 24 hours to cure, and this should be your final result. I hope you guys enjoyed this DIY tutorial, and if you would like to see more, please let me know in the comments down below where the sun doesn't shine. I hope you go ahead and give this a try. In case you were wondering, I do have 2 pairs of these earrings to give away to you guys, so if you're interested, please let me know in the comments down below where the sun doesn't shine. I'll have all the details and all of that jazz in the description in case you guys are interested. I will see you all next time. Bye!